Good morning once again, and you are still watching Sunrise at Sea here on CTV. Welcome to Twitter Jabs 2, and we are continuing the conversation on sexual violence. My name is Agi Owase, and joining me to deliberate more on this matter and give us more insight in regard to legal implications as well as legal provisions in regard to sexual violence is none other than Counsel Immaculate Owomgisha, who is the head of advocacy strategic litigation at Uganda Network on Law, Ethics and HIV, a non-governmental organization advocating for gender, justice, women's rights and HIV as well. Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us on Sunrise at Sea.
Thank you for hosting me. It's a pleasure.
Well, for starters, as a non-governmental organization, would like to let us know what is UGANET's mandate.
So UGANET's mandate lies on promoting gender justice. And when we speak about gender justice, we are speaking about women's rights.
Yes.
Women's rights and women's rights in all diversity, regardless of which woman. And then also we are focusing on justice for people living with HIV, and then justice for health rights in its totality. That's what UGANET stands for, and that's what we advocate for. Women issues are really core to our heart, and seeing what is happening right now, it is something worth speaking to and discouraging. Yeah, I will speak more on what we do. We run a shelter home. For women and girls, it's a safe space where if someone feels is experiencing violence, if someone has been beaten, someone is being sexually harassed, and probably the person who is harassing you is your close person, you can't run away from that person. You don't have a safe space where you can go. We have provided that place, a safe space where a person can come in for healing, as the legal team is looking into the legal issues to ensure that by the time you go back out there, you are actually in a safe place. You're actually not next to that perpetuator. If the perpetuator is arrested and maybe a case is going on, well and good, but we have to ensure that women and girls are safe, and people around them have to protect and ensure that they are safe in all its totality.
Okay, now we do know that you were involved in the case of Brian White and the ladies that came out to talk about him sexually assaulting them. Would like you to give us some information and insight on that in regard to that.
Yeah, it was a very unfortunate issue, unfortunate case, and it was surprising that the public mostly kept quiet about it. These girls came in looking for employment because of the vulnerability and the issue of them not having power, because the person who is giving you employment is the person with power, definitely. This guy decides to take advantage of that. And it is happening to so many girls out there that you're in this place, you want to work, you want to be yourself, but because you're vulnerable, you don't have a voice at that time. A person takes advantage of that and wants to abuse you, wants to misuse you, wants to do all sorts of things because he feels you're in this position where you cannot make a decision.
You're in need, yes.
Yeah, you're in need. And that was the case of Brian White. And I think that these trends are being on in employment. We see a lot of women, and these days it's happening that someone tells you, before I give you a job, then you need to probably first sleep with me, or there are those uninvited touches. And all that is happening because someone believes I am in control.
Yes.
And we need to speak about it. We shouldn't let it pass. We have registered cases of where girls are going for employment, and then the employer is telling you, before I give you this job. We had actually another case in the Ministry of Justice.
Yes.
It also went silently, and the people blamed the girl that, her character, the way she talks to people, she was also overthrowing herself to a man. But how do you tell a woman is overthrowing herself to a man?
It's very unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. And people just judge you by character, and they think you're inviting this violence to yourself. Yes. But that should never be a case. If men out there should take a step and know that this is where I stand, this is where I stop, regardless of whether I have power. And that's what we call upon people to recognize, that me being in this helpless position does not mean that I do not have a voice over my body.
Yes.
I do not have an agency over my body. You should respect me regardless the level you are at and the level I'm at.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you when it comes to that. Now, in regard to the Brian White case, did these ladies get justice? How did it go?
For us on our side as UGANET, like I said, what we had to provide was to ensure that she's in a safe space. For that particular time, when it was up in public, that the safety of this woman was the first core. And we're working closely with Uganda police, and they actually really helped. They played their part as police. They helped us to go and rescue these women from Brian White's house. And then working together with the CID office, we make sure that the women are safe. And later, after seeing that the police ensuring that now she's safe, we handed her over back to police, and yes, police continue to do their investigations and ensured that the girl is safe wherever she is. What I'm sure of, the case must be going on, but for us, our role at UGANET stopped because this is a criminal case. Criminal case is a government case. You do your part and then hand over back to the government to continue taking their part in terms of investigating the case.
As UGANET would like to commend you so much for doing your best in this case. But do you think that this means that there's so many loopholes in regard to the government and also the justice system in Uganda, especially in cases of sexual assault and sexual harassment? Because barely have we seen women or any other person that's sexually assaulted, get justice.
Yeah, the loopholes are many, especially at investigative level. Sexual harassment cases, most of them happen in a private setting. You are two with the person harassing you and you as a survivor or a victim. And in that case, to present evidence that is sufficient to ensure that the case is prosecuted to its logical conclusion is hard. Because police is going to ask you, bring proof. Proof is you're the only person, it's your word against the other person. And that kind of hinders the prosecution of some of these cases, especially where you don't have witnesses. And also the court of public opinion sometimes has already judged you, and we are seeing this in Sheebah's case, that the public is already judging her because of her dress code. And the courts and the investigators and the police are part of this public. They are informed by what the public is thinking about. And putting all that together brings in a lot of loophole. But the major issues in sexual harassment cases is lack of evidence. And the evidence speaks to what the law requires. Because for us, the law is saying that you have to provide sufficient evidence. And what is sufficient evidence? There must be either a witness, you must be having a medical report to indicate that you're harassed. You must have proper documentation, maybe a recording and all that. But in most cases, women are in this position at that particular time that you don't even remember that I have a phone, let me record this conversation. So when you report the case, the police will tell you, we are going to investigate, but investigate what? Sexual harassment happened
right
there.
Here.
It was there, and it is the perpetrator is gone. And at the end of it all, they will tell you there is no evidence, DPP case closed. And that's what we are suffering in terms of how do we ensure that cases of sexual harassment are investigated properly, and prosecutors, the violators are brought to book. Even when you look at police crime report of last year, most cases around sexual harassment were not taken to the next level in terms of leaving police books to court books. They usually end there, and the process, the word is always investigations are still going on. Investigations are still
but
going on.
you see, the sad thing is even when some people have come on, to provide evidence, it could be pictures, it could be recordings, justice still this day has been denied or delayed, we can call it that. So I think it's definitely a loophole in the justice system in this country, but maybe something will be done about it. But in your perspective, I'd like to ask you, what qualifies as sexual harassment, sexual assault, and sexual violence?
Okay, so right now the law as it is any form of act, any form of act on your body, any form of act on on your character. And beyond the act, it is also the gestures, the touches. If you touch me and I've not consented to that, if you give me this look that I feel is actually not appropriate, and those looks, we know what usually men do when they are trying to make a move on you, even when, and they become consistent. That is sexual harassment. Then the new trend is also on our social media platforms, where someone sends you unwanted text, nudes and all that forms sexual harassment. So it is not about that, you know, I've touched you, maybe touched your breasts, touched your butts and everything. No, it is beyond touching. But what are your actions, the actions you're doing, your body language, all that amounts to sexual harassment.
Yes, and I think more awareness needs to be done, because as of now, most ladies or most men, because even men sometimes are victims of sexual assault, think that it only has to be about the touching or maybe even rape, and that's what qualifies as sexual assault, with downplaying the fact that even, just like you mentioned, the look and then, you know, all those gestures that they put out there also qualifies as sexual assault. But I'd like to ask you, in Uganda, and according to statistics, who are, you know, the most victims of sexual assault? Are they women? Are they men?
They are definitely women, and reports have shown that every day at least one woman in 3 experience a form of violence. So as we speak now, there is a woman somewhere experiencing violence. So the statistics show widely women experience violence more than men, and the reasons are clear. The reason is the power over who has that authority. Yes, the domination, the patriarchal society that we live in, that men still think that, you know, I'm the one in control, I'm the one in charge. But we've moved on. We are in a different world. We should be at the same level, and same level means same level of respecting one another. Most people actually have this myth that when we say same level, men and women, we are saying that women
just like men.
Yes, but that's not what we are saying. We are saying if we are at the same level, we respect one another, we make decisions together, we communicate at the same level, and by doing that, we are actually promoting one another. We are tap my back, I tap yours. It's kind of a concept that we grow together if we are doing and making decisions together as a husband and wife, as boyfriend, girlfriend, as a friend, a man and a woman, or a girl and a boy who are friends. If that line is well drawn, if we know that, you know, if we consent, whatever we are going to do, there has to be a concept of consent. Whatever we are going to, let's make decisions together. That will remove all these issues that we are looking at.
Yes.
Where women continue to be looked at as the minority group, where women continue to be looked at as people who are powerless, where women continue to be looked at as people who invite violence to themselves. That will go away if we draw the lines of how to ensure that we are at the same level of respecting one another, same level of making decisions together, and ensure that we respect someone's no. We respect consent. Even when I've kept quiet, it does not mean I've said yes.
Yes. You see, when you talk about the issue of consent, it's actually very wide, because some people have talked about, you know, if you're a lady and you come to my place, I'm a man and you come to my place and you're dressed in a certain way, that they call it the inviting look. That is what they call it. And then maybe you kind of consent at first to it, and then you withdraw your consent. That I take your word. If you have said yes, that's what it is. Like, there's nothing about withdrawal of consent. I'd like you, you know, to weigh in on that. On the withdrawal of consent, when I have said yes and I later say no, should the men take the no, because that's what it is?
Definitely they should take the no, and the law is very clear. It is consent. Has the person consented? They will not ask you whether the person consented and then later did not withdraw the consent. No. If you, let's say we have reached this moment and you feel we are all heated up and now it is time, and then I realize, no, what I'm doing is not right, and I tell you stop. The person should be in position to stop, because I've withdrawn my consent. The moment you continue, then it amounts to rape.
Yes.
Yeah, and so many girls are falling into this. I had a girl who recently called me, and she felt she had no one to talk to, and this is exactly what happened to her. She had traveled, then she reached there, it was late in the night, and she remembered, oh, I have this friend of mine who can give me accommodation. So she calls this person, and the person allows her in. And she was clear to the person that I've only come for accommodation, tomorrow I have work to do. In the middle of the night, the guy goes ahead and rapes her. And later, after raping her, the girl discloses her HIV status and said, by the way, I'm HIV positive. And now here is the man who is trying to blame her. Why should you blame me? You raped me. If you've turned HIV positive, really it shouldn't be my blame. I never consented to this. So sometimes people look at these issues like minor, or you've come to my place, definitely want to have sex with me.
It's very sad that people think along those lines of, if I've showed up to your place, because when women come on to talk about, a sexually assaulted, I went to this man's place, I was only seeking shelter, they talk about, what did you expect?
Exactly.
I mean, it's so sad. It's very, very sad.
It is very sad. And it is cropping up. It grows, and silently we are keeping quiet about it. And there's this category of young girls, university students. These ones are suffering a lot. We had a different case. This chick also going to visit a friend, and then while she was taking a shower, this guy, a friend, was recording her. And then all of a sudden he's using these pics to get back to her, that you need to come back to my place and we have sex. If you don't, I'm going to expose you. So imagine how many people are out there and they don't even know where to report. They don't even know what to do.
Because they know they'll be blamed at the end of the day.
Exactly. Why did you go to this man's house at night when you're from maybe having a drink? You knew that this will happen. You see, but that shouldn't be. It should be a case of, yes, he's my friend, has come to my place. Let's talk about it. If the person agrees, well and good. If the person says no, respect that, and probably if you're still interested, pursue your interest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, they're always talking about men conferences and, all those, especially when it's about the time for Valentine's Day. I think consent should be one of the most important things that they talk about, so that men can be in position to, acknowledge consent when somebody has said no and take it for what it is. It's a no. But anyway, let's talk about the victims of sexual assault, not only in Uganda. Well, let's actually focus on Uganda. Where can they seek help or justice? What are those avenues?
So there are so many avenues. One, we know the mandate of police. Police, their full mandate is to ensure that all criminal cases are fully investigated and fully prosecuted, working together with the public prosecutor's office. So let's report. Most people don't report, and the gaps we talked about them, why they don't report. We need to have our actors, the police, to ensure that there is safe space for women to report such cases, and when they report, they are not blamed even at police cells. And this sometimes happens. You go there and they ask you, but you also look at yourself, how you're dressed, what did you expect? But we need to encourage women to report. The case in point is what you were discussing before you came in here. The Sheebah Karungi. Yes. There is a reason why she's not disclosing the name of this person. And
could you tell us some of those reasons that you think why women, are always held back in regard to outing the people, the sexual assault perpetrators?
Yeah, so definitely it is an issue of safety. If I speak and this person comes back to me, who is there to protect me? Yes, we are all saying, please, Sheebah, speak. Tell us who is this person, because we want to protect others. But what measures have we put in place that when she speaks, she's protected? You see, she would love to speak, but probably she's also looking at her environment. She's a celebrity. She's always out. She earns a living through music. And she even clearly said it that I love my job. What I watched, she said, I loved my job. I had to put my job first. So imagine, as we tell her to speak, let's ensure that she is safe. And this is what most women and girls are suffering from. There's a case we have at our shelter home, and this is a young girl who is defiled by the first uncle. Then she runs for refuge to another uncle's place. That uncle also defiles her. She runs to the third one, and the third one also defiles her. As they defile her, she's getting pregnant, and they are forcing her to abort. And you expect such a person to run where now? If I mention the names of these uncles, and they are the same people I need to go to seek shelter, how safe am I? The next thing will be maybe killing this person. So we've been having this conversation in the women's movement that the government should provide intentional support in ensuring there are safe spaces for women. If a woman has reported, and you know the perpetrator is this strong, the case of Brian White, if we had not kept
strong,
this girl,
not just strong, but powerful and protected in some way.
Exactly. So if the women don't have that equal protection, then when they say the name of the perpetrators, you're putting them actually in more
danger.
In more danger, in this space where they will feel anything can happen. You can be killed. Yeah, you can be killed, or your career can just turn around and end like that.
But don't you think it's sad that you have to be, you know, sexually assaulted and you have to look at your career before anything? And then also the other thing I'd like us to talk about is the fact that don't you think that women coming out there, even irrespective of the fact that some are not protected in the end, you know, putting the names of the people out there, outing them, don't you think it's a good thing to at least, you know, it's more of an awareness to every other lady? Let's say it's in the workspace and maybe there's a sexual assaulter, and maybe this lady comes on and say this person. At the end of the day, the other ladies get to, you know, to protect themselves or to be aware of the person and see how to go about the situation. Don't you think it's a good thing in one way?
It is definitely the good thing, and we saw it when Stella Nyans did it in Makere, when she ashamed the professor. But we saw also the backlash.
She did get the backlash, a lot of it.
Yeah, because there was no one to protect her. The space was not conducive enough to ensure that when I mention A, then I'll be equally protected. Especially if we are mentioning the person who has more authority and more power and again very protected. How is this woman protected? Yes, we want it. We want to mention because we need to protect other girls out there who may fall victim of with the same perpetrator. But we also have to ensure that women are protected when they mention.
Well,
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'd like to ask you, which other channels can, you know, victims employ to make sure that the perpetrators do not walk away scot-free, that, you know, they get to get the justice that they deserve?
What I would encourage people is, if we are to talk, let's say if I go to report at police, let me remain anonymous. Let the conversation be anonymous. Let the media not run after me, because we also see this. The media runs out, escalates the whole thing. You want news, yes, but you're not looking at this other person. So that anonymous kind of reporting is what we encourage to ensure that women are protected. If I report at police and I've gone there, let me go in a room which I feel I'm safe and I can confidently speak about the issues. But we don't have those spaces even at police. If I'm in a courtroom and this case I need to go detail and talk about the private things that this person did to me, let the case not be in open court where you have everyone who has come for the case. Let it be what we call in camera, which is where you're before a judge or a magistrate and just a few people around you, not everyone being in, so that this person is able to explain her case and speak. And we've been calling on the judiciary that we need to have gender-based violence and mostly sexual offenses cases heard in camera to give the survivor the power to speak freely. And that's what we really want to see as a country. If we take that progressive step, then we'll be able to say that, yes, we are actually encouraging people to report. Then when they report, they will feel safe after.
Yes.
Witness protection has been very key. Sorry. we've seen that we have now a law on witness protection that says if you're a witness to this case and you come, government can protect you. I was told that actually DPP has even shelter for witness to make sure that they are protected, but they are not known. And those what strategies are there? If I can't be taken into a shelter, am I going to have, let's say, bodyguard on my door? And having that bodyguard on my door, what does it mean for my freedom?
But am I also safe from the bodyguard? Because
Exactly.
we have seen an incident where Miss Marinos, who, you know, our lady who subscribes to Noop, talked about she was sexually assaulted after being kidnapped and, you know, put into custody by a CMI UPDF officer. So at the end of the day, while they are protecting, while they are providing them the bodyguards, are they also safe with them? And they should also let the ladies or the men, whoever is a victim of sexual assault, to feel safe with the people.
Yeah.
Or if anything, I feel like they should actually choose who to, you know, who
Exactly,
they trust.
who you trust, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then that person should be empowered. And that's what we call for. That safety should not be, oh, I gave you a bodyguard, or you now have a truck following you. It's beyond that.
Should be somebody I feel safe with.
Yes,
Absolutely.
somebody and in a place. It has to go hand in hand, in a place where I feel safe and with a person I feel safe with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So while we wind up the conversation, I'd like us to talk about the stigma surrounding, you know, sexual assault and rape. There's so many ladies, especially out there, who get sexually assaulted. It could be by their husbands, you know, raped, and even sometimes family members, like the case that you talked about. And there's always the stigma around rape where they are scared of talking about it because, you know, that's it. I mean, the reactions from people and all the backlash. So let's talk briefly about that stigma.
Yeah, the stigma in sexual harassment cases is real, especially where a person who has sexually molested you or harassed you is a person close to you. What we've seen is families will always come and say, oh, how shall we put this out there? And we've had mothers saying, you know, this girl has been defiled by the father, but I can't report. How will I be looked at? And the moment we continue doing that, yes, it is stigma, but we need to overcome it. If we continue doing that, today has defied or raped this or sexually harassed this girl, tomorrow we'll harass another person. And we'll keep smearing, you know, out there, how will the family be looked at? How will this person be looked at? If we don't speak, then we are actually condoned. We are actually saying it is okay. It is okay to harass me. It is okay to rape me. It is okay to have this girl defiled. Stigma is real, and stigma is coming because there is no support system. That when I report, am I really supported? Exactly, the backlash that comes with it being out there, and that's what we need to fight. If we fight that and we provide an environment and a free space where we will not blame and shame, where we will not finger point, where I will not say that, you know, you called it upon yourself, you're dressed like that, why did you walk at night? My walking at night has nothing to do.
I'd like to get your perspective on in regard to dress code, because while even the men, we have seen multiple ladies on social media, especially in the case of Sheebah Karungi, who have talked about Sheebah is always dressed skimpily. It's the reason that she was sexually assaulted. And I'm not ashamed to say that I was very irritated and angry at those comments. I'd like you to, you know, weigh in and talk about the issue of the dress code, and is it in any way a justification for sexual assault?
Definitely, it's not a justification. There's this whole concept of body autonomy and integrity. My body is mine. I make decisions on what I want to do with my body, how I want to dress, how I want to walk, how I want to look. And that should not be an invitation for you to harass me.
Yes.
It is, we have a choice. If I choose to wear something that shows every part of my body, it's me. And stay away. We've seen men who dress and we see their panties,
Absolutely.
we see their chest. Do we go jumping on them and touching them? It should
double
be
standard.
It's a double standard. It should be the same case. That if I'm dressed the way I'm dressed, and I see men do it all the time. A girl is passing and is dressed skimpy, and then all sorts of words and comments are thrown at you. That is sexual harassment. And one of my colleagues has ever made men sleep in a police cell because of that. You're passing and they are calling you all sorts of names. Oh, look at your ass, whatever. That is harassment and shouldn't. My dressing has nothing to do with your character.
Yeah.
Well, there's this word that Stella uses, that keep your whatever in your panties. Let sex not be in your mind.
Yes.
Walk and be that man. A man that, because what you're doing to this girl, what if it is done to your daughter? How will you feel?
Yeah.
Maybe they are the same men who go and harass their own daughters.
Well, there you have it. Dress code has nothing to do with sexual assault, and it's not an invitation for sexual assault. Well, would like to have your final remarks in regard, to this conversation that we've just had.
Yeah, my final regard is we need to report girls out there who are experiencing sexual violence. You can report to your nearest police station, you can report to your nearest NGO, you can report to the nearest church leader, local government authority. We are all there to help. We have a call center line where you can call and report any case, and police equally has a call center line. For UGANET in particular is 0800 333. You can call on that number anytime, Serena. So beyond reporting, for public out there, for people out there, you need to respect women and girls. You need to put in your mind that the dress code, the walking and the looks does not mean that I'm inviting you to sexually harass me.
Yes.
I need to consent. And then thirdly is to our actors, government actors, that let's create safe space. Let's have an environment that encourages women and girls to report these cases, that when I report, the case is going to be taken through the criminal justice to its logical conclusion, because when the cases remains that we are investigating, it is also discouraging women to report, because people feel like even when I report, nothing will be done.
Yes.
Yeah, and by doing that, then we are encouraging more perpetrators out there. They will tell you, where will you report me anyway? And now, since we are starting to see this coming from the people of influence, then the whole issue of where will you report me becomes a big conversation. We need police and other actors in government to give us that belief that, we are here, you trust us, and report these cases, and we'll handle the cases with.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that input. It's very much appreciated. And, thank you so much for honoring our invitation to come and weigh in on this matter.
Thank you too.
Well, that has been Counsel Immaculate Owomgisha, and that is the Head of Advocacy, Strategic Litigation at Uganda Network on Law, Ethics and HIV as well. Well, that winds up the conversation that we had for you here on Twitter Jabs 2. But do not go anywhere. Coming up is Hit or Miss, and Siobhan Alma and Sarah Apollo are weighing in on the issue of blazers. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea and don't blink.